leading that charge, Ayush, is a cabinet minister with one of the most vital portfolios shaping the lives of every citizen. He holds the reins for everything from our national transport backbone to our digital identity programs.
We are profoundly honored to welcome Ashwini Vaishnaw, the Union Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting and Electronics and Information Technology. He will be in conversation, like we mentioned earlier, with NDTV's own Senior Managing Editor, Vishnu Som. A huge round of applause, please.
Mr. Minister, welcome to the NDTV World Summit.
For the last several years, I've had the privilege of a lot of conversations with Ashwini Vaishnaw on India's digital future. We've spoken about all sorts of things. We've spoken about the manufacture of semiconductors in India. We've spoken about India's AI stack. We've spoken about resilient supply chains. And he's a bit of a futurist. I am not, which is why when he told me a whole lot of things a few years back on how India and our digital future is essentially something that is upon us. Quite frankly, I didn't believe him. I thought, ministers, they like to talk. But the fact of the matter is this: India's digital future is upon us. If we don't invest in AI now, if we don't invest in the manufacture of semiconductors now, if we don't get into serious research and the excavation and the refining of critical minerals now, then India will be in trouble. But that's at one level. There's the entire aspect of what he deals with, which is also policy. What about a policy on deep fakes? It is a huge concern. What about ensuring the data sovereignty of India? Again, that's an area that he has to look at very, very carefully. Thank you so much for being with us today. And let me start this by firstly asking you about what's the next big thing, because we've already had the India stack, which has looked at Aadhaar, it's looked at UPI. You're not stopping there, I hope. So what's next for us in terms of DPI, the Digital Public Interface?
In terms of DPI, we are going very big on digital credit. And it's very important for the people at the bottom of the pyramid, because if you are able to provide credit for the people who really need credit at a very small magnitude, for example, somebody requiring a loan of 2,000 rupees for 3 days. Now, no bank would generally get into that kind of scenario, but if we use the power of technology, if we can use cash flow of the person as a collateral for loan and use that as the credit rating mechanism in real time, in a very continuous process, then things can be really great. By now, we have done about $16 billion worth of digital credit, and it's progressing very well. Many of the pilots which have been done are giving very good results.
One of the biggest enablers that we've seen in recent times, we heard the Prime Minister speak about this yesterday, was how through our digital network, healthcare can be provided through apps to the last person in the last mountain in the most remote parts of our country. Ultimately, this isn't about tech. It's only about tech as long as it helps people. That's what your function, your job is. Could you tell us how that, in terms of reaching out to the last person in healthcare through apps and our digital network, is saving lives?
Absolutely. And India rolled out 5G at a pace which the entire world was amazed at. We now practically cover more than 90% of our country with the 5G network, and we are the second largest 5G network. We have the second largest 5G network in the entire world. That has helped us reach out to the areas which are really far-flung and provide services which hitherto would have been impossible for them to avail. And there we have used a combination of communication technologies, compute technologies, and AI to provide services which are really good. And the DPI stack has been the foundation for that.
Let's talk a little bit about AI. Indian large language models, do you believe that is necessarily the future? If so, how is it progressing?
So we have to look at the entire AI architecture, the entire stack, starting with the applications which are Indian corporates and Indian businesses, they are adopting in a very huge way. Coming to the orchestration, that entire software layer between the hardware and the application piece, that we need to develop so that our digital sovereignty is properly protected, and we nobody can have a kill switch which can kind of prevent us or isolate us from the entire technology stack. Third is the entire layer of LLMs. LLMs are coming in multiple forms and multiple shapes today. Today, practically every week or every 10 days, you can find one new model getting announced by somebody in the world. Now, the way the entire AI model scenario is today changing, we must focus on the innovative pieces, the engineering innovation, which can give us a leverage over the huge capital which is required in the conventional ways of training AI models. So we must use that as our strength, and that is what we are doing in the 6 models which are getting developed. 2 of the models will be of the 120 billion parameter order, and I think this will provide us a good base where the models are not biased the way the Western models are. They are trained on Indian languages, Indian context, and they have the same technical strength which, let's say, any other bigger model in the world would have. So many young startups, many young entrepreneurs, they are really working big time, full focused on that layer. The final layer is the chipset, and that is where that should be our next goal once we achieve the application, the orchestration, entire layer, the models, and then we should aim at the chipsets.
We'll talk about chipsets in a moment, but be honest with us. Grok, is that what you use? Gemini, is that what you use? Or ChatGPT 4?
I try to use my own brain.
No, but that's interesting. Why do you not find use in AI? Some of my research, I run through AI before my programs. I find it very useful. You have to fact check it, but still it gives you a preliminary basis of information.
No, part of my nature is that I like to think sometimes, and fortunately I can think on a topic for a reasonably long time. I have a good attention span. Sometimes I can think.
No, but you are pushing AI in India, but you aren't using AI. Is that what you're telling me?
It's perfectly okay. We are using in railways. We are using in so many other things. It's good to use applications where they add value. It's okay.
Let's talk a little bit about something related to AI, perhaps even directly, which is Yep.
I'll start using Sarvam.
Oh, you have, right. Okay.
Once it comes by December.
December, right? That's when...
December, Jan latest.
Let's talk a little bit about something which is completely related. When we talk about AI and we talk about the manufacture of processors in India, we have to look at semiconductor availability. Resilient supply chains is what we believe in, but ultimately it's also about having fabs in India which actually manufacture semiconductors. Now you've got something to show us, right?
So semiconductor is a strategic industry, and about 6 decades back we started this journey, but unfortunately there was no success in the first quite many decades. 22, our Prime Minister gave us a very clear focus and a good vision on how we should proceed with the semiconductor industry. We started the program on 1st Jan 22, and today we have 2 units producing already. We are in end of 25. Within such a short time frame, 2 units have started production. CG Semi and Keynes has started production last week. And 10 units total, they are under construction. And some of the progress is very good, because this is a...
Hold that up and show us.
Well, this is a very complex industry, because the magnitude, the dimensions at which we have to work and the complexity at which we have to work is really, really difficult. So a chip can be extremely small. You can't even see it with a microscope. It's like 10,000 times smaller than the human hair. So that kind of magnitude, that kind of work is there. And fabricating a chip is like building an entire city on a small little wafer like this. This is a wafer. On this, building a complete city, which will have its own plumbing, its own heating, its own electrical network, its own circuits, and huge, very, very complex, something For example, somebody was telling me that if the power supply goes off for 5 minutes, then it's a loss of $200 million. That kind of complexity is there, and the chemicals and gases which are used are extremely pure, ultra pure chemicals and gases, 500 plus chemicals, parts per billion purity, extremely. So good thing is that we have started doing it. This is among the first few chips which have been manufactured. We presented the first Made in India chipset to our Prime Minister. But what we have also done is, we have put a huge focus on creating the talent pipeline. Nowhere in the world will you find a situation where 295 universities, students are using world's latest semiconductor design tools, what we call EDA tools in our industry parlance. World's latest EDA tools from Cadence, from Synopsys, from Siemens. They're using absolutely what the industry uses, designing chips and the chips getting taped out. I'm sure you have Professor from MIT. Very few universities would be there in the world which can claim this kind of thing, right? Yeah? So that kind of focus on developing a very significant talent base has given us a unique strength. Already 20% of our design engineers, global design engineering talent is in India. And today we are designing chips of 2 nanometers in our country. Earlier it used to be 5 nanometers, 7 nanometers, now 2 nanometer chip. 2 nanometer is the most complex chip, smallest one. So those are designed here in India. So that strength we would like to use in our fabrication and manufacturing process also.
Can you just show me that chip? I just want to get, and the other one, to get the camera to, this is too small for the camera to zoom in on, but I thought it would be quite interesting if we can actually have this up on the screen, and if once, right, and so the other one is too small. Despite being Vishnu, I've got only two arms, but tell me a little bit about what I'm looking at over here.
So this
right,
is
as we zoom in on this, tell me what this is exactly.
This is a wafer. A wafer is a piece of silicon. Silicon is from quartz, it's made, it's silica sand. That is made into a wafer. And then on the wafer, we have to fabricate, which means draw the entire circuit. And the entire circuit is like extremely complex, like a city getting drawn on a small piece of, so if you look at this, this is, let's say, an area of this size. Area of this size would be almost like a complex large city. Wow. It is that complex. So then you have to take it out from this, and the very small thing will have to be given a body.
Right.
So then a body is given like this. This is a complete chip. Entire body is given, and this can have multiple floors in it, like a multi-story building.
Yeah.
So, and there is plumbing in between, there is electrical circuit in between, it's very, very complex, really, really complex. Maybe someday you should do a video on it.
No, we will. Just, in terms of something that's happened recently, we've seen Google make an incredible investment in Visakhapatnam.
Yeah.
That is something that's going to take, R&D at one level and many other facets of AI to the next level. How important is that particular investment? And going forward, what does it sort of indicate? To me, it indicates a big interest in India. But specifically, what is that going to generate?
See, compute is the kind of raw material, data is the raw material. These are the two major raw materials for any AI research. Getting good compute facility in our country is very important for us. Part of the AI mission, we have right now empaneled about 38,000 GPUs. Our target was 10,000 GPUs. We could get about 38,000 GPUs as a part of the AI mission. And now we are inviting other large players to come and set up the compute facility in India. Once we have the compute, then the ability to do good research and the ability to develop AI applications will significantly increase. So Google has come with a $15 billion investment. I think Meta is also working on another investment. So it's going to be very good for our country in that sense.
There's just something I missed out on. When we talk about semiconductors and wafers, obviously it's linked to critical minerals. Yeah. Now, we've had our Prime Minister travel to China recently. There is a reset in the equation. There is an indicator that China may be willing to provide us with critical minerals. To what extent are we going to be dependent, that's my word, on them?
See, we have to be Atmanirbhar in critical minerals for sure. Honorable Prime Minister has already approved a critical minerals mission. We have a good large deposits of rare earths which is found on the beaches all the way from Odisha to Gujarat. This beach sand is a very good source of the lighter variant of the critical minerals. There are heavier variants, then there are lighter variants. So then we have partnerships with Brazil, with Argentina, with Australia, which have large quantities of the higher variants of the critical minerals. Key is the processing capability. We are working with many partners for developing the processing capability in our country. There is one processing plant in Vizag. There are other plants which are getting set up. And I think over a period of next few years, we would certainly become independent, Atmanirbhar on self-reliant for the rare earths and critical minerals.
There are a couple of important policy areas that you also are part of a team that looks at. Data sovereignty is important. Your critics will say that, in an interconnected world, data sovereignty doesn't necessarily need to reside in a geographical space, whereas we have always argued that no, we need to have it in India because it potentially gives us an element of control. A, is that the case? And B, why are you so clear that data sovereignty must reside geographically within India?
Data is the new oil. Data centers are the new refineries. The new economy which is today taking shape, in that economy, we must take control of the destiny. And we must make sure that the talent that we have in our country, that talent should find the opportunities here in our country rather than just going out. And that's why we have taken multiple steps. For example, we have recently announced a deep tech fund of $1 billion to begin with. We are now working with many entrepreneurs. Just yesterday, I had a couple of meetings with 2 more entrepreneurs who are planning to work on something very innovative. So we are continuously we are encouraging our startups and entrepreneurs to come out with new solutions, new ways of solving world's problems, solving our own problems, solving population scale problems, and also doing that deep research. So that's why it's very important that we keep that edge, keep that thing in focus, keep that entire goal in focus, rather than just becoming totally dependent on the big tech.
Deep fakes is obviously a huge concern.
Yes.
At the same time, there are those who will say that, AI allows us to do fun things. It makes a young person look old or vice versa. There is a sense of humor that the government needs to have also. So let us play around with AI. Not everything is insulting to anybody. How do you draw that ethical line?
Now, there was a nice video a few months back where all the all the political leaders, they were presented as young kids, and it was quite funny. I think, yes, that's a very interesting element of AI, and it should be encouraged. There's no harm in it. What's important is that we save the society from the significant harms which can be caused by using deep fakes, where your voice, your face can be presented to give out a message which is absolutely disconnected with you. So it's your right to make sure that your face and your voice should not be used in a harmful way for the society. So that's the thought process by which we are approaching this topic, and we would very soon bring out regulations on the deepfakes.
You'll have regulations,
yes, we
in terms of a law.
We are approaching this entire thing in 2 ways. One is technical, second is legal. We believe that the world of AI cannot be regulated simply by passing a law. There has to be a technical solution to it. So we have this AI Safety Institute where people are working on very complex problems. For example, IIT Jodhpur has come out with a solution for deepfakes, and they can detect it with an accuracy of 90% plus. So that technical solution plus a regulation combined with it is going to be more effective than, let's say, the European Union, where they simply focus on regulating things. Our bias is more towards innovation. As a country and as a government, We are focused more on innovation. Simultaneously, we have to protect the society from the potential harms. So that's why we have taken the techno-legal approach to this.
Let me ask you a follow-up to what I asked you a couple of years back. When it comes to Aadhaar or some of our other different digital public interfaces, the message during G20 is that this isn't just about India, it's about India sharing the knowledge of our digital backbone to countries who seek it, or countries who are friends of ours, countries in the global south. Since then to now, have we actually done that?
More than 13 countries are using the UPI architecture, including many rich countries. Japan has given a patent to the UPI architecture. So many countries have taken our Aadhaar architecture for their digital identity. I think that number would be more than 50.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because that's a big win for you, isn't it?
It is.
It wasn't just a policy statement, it was very much India's vision about transferring our knowledge and our tech around the world.
The big difference that we made in implementation of this policy is, we made the entire thing open source, we made it open standards, we made it open access. Open access, open standards, open source means if a country wants to implement this entire solution, they can absolutely be clear that their digital sovereignty, their data sovereignty, their citizens' privacy, all those will be absolutely protected the way they want it to be protected, correct? So that's why we positioned the entire thing, the entire stack, in a way which the people found very easy to adapt. And we said that we are absolutely fine, you give whatever name you want to give in your language, your country's culture, your ethos. But the soft power, for example, I feel like all Indians, we feel happy that the Hindu numerals we gave to the entire world. It went to Arab, from Arab it went to Europe. The Europeans started calling them Arabian numerals, but they are basically Hindu numerals which went from India. We never charged any royalty for it, right? We believe that the knowledge that we created in our country as a civilizational country should go to the entire world, and that's our way of thinking. We don't send armies to other countries to conquer. We send our soft knowledge, our power to contribute to other societies. That's the way we think.
And the final question to you, I was speaking to the Qualcomm chief a few days back where he spoke about the future of 6G and India. And he said in a finite period of time, when the next generation of, for example, spectacles come in, you can actually look at a bill, say pay, and it pays. But for people across the country, realistically speaking, what are the applications of 6G for the common citizen?
6G will be a totally different network from 5G and 4G, because see, till 2G there was a totally different architecture. It built, then 3G was built upon that. 4G was a significantly different architecture. 4G and 5G was built upon 4G. 6G will be absolutely totally new way of thinking, where the network is thinking on itself. It becomes a software-defined network. It becomes a network which is persistently available in the entire system. And today, if you think of a network, then there is a tower and there is a mobile device. Tomorrow, it will be anything which you hold in your hand will be part of that network. So that's the way it will be. And we took a very good lead in 6G research. We started the 6G Council totally with the industry and academia. Absolutely driven by industry and academia. And I think by now we would be, I'm no longer in charge of the telecom ministry, but I think last count we had some 60 odd patents for 6G, and that number is growing very rapidly.
Well, Minister, it's been wonderful speaking to you. I know you have a very, very tight schedule, but in terms of, India's digital transformation, our digital future, this is the man who's a real visionary, and it's not just talk. In terms of semiconductors, we've already seen the progress we've made. There'll be new regulation, new legislation. It's designed to make technology, whether it's AI or so much else, our next DPIs, something which impacts millions across the country, and it's something which is also available potentially across the world. Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Before you leave, we've got a little memento for you.